Okay, picture this. The sacred Klingon planet Boreth. You've got a cleric, Olahg, totally devoted to the legend, Kahless.
Mm, deeply devout.
Right. Then, bam, he finds this ancient scroll, and it shatters his faith, plants these massive seeds of doubt.
Yeah, that's a powerful hook. And it's exactly where we're starting our deep dive today.
We've got quite a mix of sources for you.
We really do. It's a rich collection giving us this really multifaceted look at Kahless, the iconic Klingon figure. We're zoning in on a pivotal moment, really. His story, his legacy.
Exactly. There are historical notes, setting the stage. We get right into Olagh's personal turmoil.
Yeah, that's raw stuff.
And then there's action, big scenes, key events, even a look at how Kahless is shown in Klingon theater.
Which tells you a lot about cultural perception.
For sure. Now look, maybe you're a big Star Trek fan, maybe you're newer to Klingons. Doesn't matter. We're not going to drown you in, obscure details. The goal here is to pull out the most fascinating bits, the stuff that really makes you think.
Our mission, like always, is to get past the surface level. We really want to explore these themes of, faith, leadership, and how history gets written.
And rewritten sometimes.
Exactly. How these narratives hold up or don't when new stuff comes to light.
Right. So the sources give us this great overview. We get a historian's take from around Picard's time commanding the Enterprise D.
Yeah, the 8th year, specifically. Useful context. For those maybe less familiar, Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Starfleet, Enterprise D, his big command ship.
Crucial figure. Then we dive into Olahg, his crisis, that discovery. We see these dramatic confrontations.
The political stuff, too, around Gowron.
Yeah, and familiar faces pop up. Picard again, and Lieutenant Commander Worf.
Ah, Worf. A Klingon in Starfleet. His perspective is always unique here.
It really is. It's a layered picture. What's so interesting is seeing the established legend, Kahless the Unforgettable, right? Almost untouchable. And then this scroll just crashes in, disrupting everything.
Precisely. That's what this deep dive is about. Understanding that ripple effect. How does this scroll change how people see Kahless?
What does it do to Klingon politics, the Empire?
And what about the individuals caught up in it? How do they deal with these, well, potentially blasphemous ideas?
Let's kick off with Olahg then. He's ground zero for this shockwave.
Yeah, his story really sets it all in motion. You see his initial, rock-solid belief in Kahless.
So strong, he travels to Boreth, embraces that whole austere monastic life.
He's looking for something deeper, isn't he? A real experience, a connection, maybe with Kahless himself or the clone emperor.
Right, the clone meant to embody Kahless,
Yeah.
but they keep denying his requests.
Yeah, and that breeds frustration, isolation. It's interesting, isn't it, how even in really devout systems, if you don't get that tangible connection,
Doubt creeps in.
resentment even makes people open to, well, other stories.
And he's not getting that spiritual fulfillment either. Praying at the site, but no visions, nothing.
Feels abandoned, which, leads to disillusionment. He starts resenting the very figure he's supposed to worship.
And then, during this excavation work.
Right, at a site where they think Kahless camped.
Yeah.
He makes this discovery, almost by accident, but not quite.
He was really digging for it, wasn't he? Trying to find something.
Yeah, the source mentions his hands were raw, worn out. He was committed, searching for that authentic link.
And he finds the box inside. The scroll.
Old, brittle, brown, the tie broken. It looks ancient. Olahg himself is amazed it survived.
And reading it, his reaction is intense.
Totally visceral. Heart racing, eyes feeling pierced, the source says. Just powerful shock and terror.
Because he thinks Kahless wrote it.
He thinks it's Kahless' work, yes. But at the same time, he sees it as, well, blasphemy. A huge contradiction.
So he's caught. What does he do?
He hides it. Doesn't tell anyone. Just takes the scroll and flees to the city.
Wow. That says a lot about his turmoil.
It really does. He knows how explosive this information is. The chaos it could cause. Running off alone just shows how isolated he feels, carrying this huge secret.
Okay, so Olagh's having this crisis. Let's shift gears and look at Kahless himself through these other accounts. We see him battling a volcano.
Yeah. An incredible scene. Talk about determination, right? It's almost mythic.
Definitely reinforces that Klingon ideal, never give up, even against impossible odds. It's core Kahless legend stuff.
It really is. This warrior, presumably Kahless, taking on this huge force of nature, doesn't care about the mortal danger, keeps finding paths.
Sacrifices his tunic.
Yeah, like an offering before the final leap, a symbolic gesture, and even sliding back towards the lava, he's fighting tooth and nail to survive.
Then we see him with Molar, not as a lone legend, but as like a trusted warship.
Served Moeller for 7 years, apparently. We see his tactical mind advising Moeller to strike swiftly and unexpectedly.
Clearly a valued leader.
And he protects Moeller in battle. Shows loyalty, skill. Builds that image of Kahless as a formidable warrior, an authority figure in Moeller's camp.
And he's proud of saving Tolar II, that ancient center, from Moeller. Adds another layer, protector of Klingon heritage.
And interestingly, when he thinks about saving Tolar II, he wonders, is he the original Kahless? Or the clone?
Huh. So even he's questioning his own identity before the scroll surfaces.
Seems like it. An awareness of the complexity around who he is, his legacy. It's fascinating.
We also get Kahless through a play, him and Morath.
Right. Not history exactly, more symbolic.
Yeah.
About honor, lies core Klingon values.
The audience expects Kahless to win, right? Because Morath lied.
Exactly. It reinforces the standard story. Kahless equals honor. The crowd's into it, anticipating the fight, shows how deep these stories run in their culture.
But then the scroll gets out. Publicly. At a festival, people start questioning if it's real.
And this is where it gets really interesting, like you said. It's not just Olahg anymore. Warriors in the crowd, actual warriors, start voicing doubts.
That's huge. It shows the scroll hit a nerve. People are genuinely uncertain about Kahless, about what they believe.
And it's not just female warriors, too. It's spreading. This unease, this willingness to consider something else, even if it's disturbing.
How does Kahless react?
Oh, he's furious. Angry, frustrated. His legacy is being challenged like this. He sees Olahg as just a liar who needs shutting up.
His internal reaction is strong.
Absolutely. He lived through it, right? So having it questioned by what he thinks is a fake, deeply insulting. He wants Olahg punished, kind of like Morath in the play. Shows how much he believes in his own honor.
Then there's that scene in the dining hall. Kahless overhears Lomakh talking to someone else.
Yeah, a conspirator. This shifts things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just about the scroll's history anymore. There might be a political plot brewing.
Exploiting the doubt.
It looks like it. Individuals trying to use the scroll controversy for their own gain. You start seeing the intrigue within the Klingon power structure.
We also see Kahless with Morath Onda's son after a battle. Morath seems loyal, even though Kahless is working for Moeller at the time.
Yeah, those early interactions seem important later. Morath, following Kahless, despite the Moeller connection, says a lot about Kahless's personal charisma, his reputation, hints at future alliances.
But when Kahless takes his conspiracy concerns to
Gowron blows him off. Skeptical, dismissive.
Which tells you something about the politics, maybe Gowron's own position or plans.
Gowron's inaction is suspect. Does he just not see the threat? Or is he choosing to ignore it because it doesn't suit his agenda? Arrogance, maybe? Or something deliberate?
On a different note, we see Kahless being, well, compassionate, sparing those women bathing.
Right, and connecting with K'Eline. She recognizes him, even though he's an outlaw now.
Shows another side to him, beyond just the warrior.
It humanizes him, definitely. Respect for the women, that bond forming with K'Eline. She sees something in him past his current status.
Okay, so things are getting messy, and this is where the Federation gets pulled in.
Yep. Koroth goes to Picard on the Enterprise, the Federation flagship.
Asks for help because the scroll is causing so much unrest.
His main goal, prove the scroll is fake.
Going to the Federation, even unofficially, that shows how serious it is. Maybe a lack of trust in their own Klingon systems to sort it out.
Definitely signals destabilization.
And Picard agrees. Worf too, obviously.
Worf is key here.
Yeah.
His Klingon heritage, his cultural understanding, plus the Starfleet training, he bridges those worlds.
And that classic Worf line, right? Not letting his captain face danger alone.
Gotta love Worf.
Then Kahless herself meets Picard and Worf. He mentions knowing about a weird planet to Reve.
A place he says he's never been. Strange detail. Intriguing.
Then they're all beamed onto a Klingon cruiser. The investigation kicks off for real.
This unlikely team-up, Kahless, Picard, Worf, signals they know they need outside help to figure this conspiracy out.
But it gets dangerous fast. They get attacked.
Yeah, it's not just talk anymore. Real danger, ruthless opposition trying to keep the truth buried. High stakes.
So they track down Kern, Gowron's brother. He runs a Klingon academy.
Hope he can shed some light on the conspiracy, but Kern's cautious.
Understandable. Tricky political spot, being Gowron's brother. Needs solid proof before taking sides.
Exactly. He knows the power dynamics.
And then the academy attack. Just
brutal. A real turning point. Innocent lives lost, kids. It's devastating, raises the stakes immensely, adds this heavy emotional weight.
Worf was heroic, apparently, rescuing
Yeah,
survivals.
his bravery shines through, that sense of honor, compassion, even in that chaos. A source mentions the raw grief of the survivors. Just awful.
But that attack, as terrible as it was, convinces Kahless and Kurn that conspiracy is real. No more doubt.
The scale, the brutality,
Yeah.
leaves no room. Shared grief, shared outrage. It solidifies their resolve. Find the truth, get justice.
We also see Kahless thinking strategically, with Edron and his son, Ranulph.
Ah, right. He uses a lie to avoid more fighting.
Shows a pragmatic side, doesn't it? Not just the idealized legends. Sometimes leadership means tough calls, even deception to save lives.
It's a nuanced portrayal.
Meanwhile, Picard's talking to Alexander, Worf's son, about how Worf is taking all this scroll stuff.
Seems it's hitting Worf hard, personally. His connection to the Kahless legend runs deep.
Picard's concerned. Shows their bond.
Yeah, that friendship.
Kahless then returns to Vathrak's keep. Finds a massacre. Molar's forces.
And Kaline, she's among the dead.
Oh, man. That's rough. A huge personal blow for him. The source mentions her Janak amulet.
Yeah, those are deeply personal, spiritual items in Klingon culture. Represents their bond. Her death just fuels his grief, his drive to confront Molar.
So seeking answers, they go to Majas on Baj.
The blind Klingon elder, known for his wisdom.
And even without sight, he's sharp. Gives them crucial info about the bomb used at the Academy.
Majas is like this living archive of Klingon knowledge. Blindness seems to have sharpened his other senses, his insight. And he helps, despite his limitations. Committed to the Empire.
What's the clue?
Machura alloy. It's used in older explosives, heating elements. Majas knows only one armory still makes devices with it. Unarrh just more.
It's a solid lead. Finally.
Critical piece. Moves them from suspicion to a specific target. Muuda's knowledge is key here.
So Terjas more it is. Muuda's estate. They infiltrate.
And find proof. Muuda got the bombs. Kahless interrogates him.
Forcefully, I imagine.
Oh yeah. Threat of violence gets the truth. The bombs were meant for the Academy. Horrifying confirmation.
While that's happening, rebels attack Mueller's forces. Kahless jumps in, leads the charge to defend Talartu again.
Back in the fight. Shows that warrior spirit protecting innocence, heritage, the very things the scroll questions.
And after the battle, he gives this speech to the rebels.
Right. Telling them, don't get complacent. Muller's not done yet. Smart leadership. Tempering the victory celebration with a reality check.
It all leads to the big showdown, the siege of Mueller's citadel.
Massive battle. Shows how widespread the rebellion against Mueller has become. People are determined.
Then the infiltration team, Kahless, Picard, Worf, they get inside Unarrh's stronghold.
And bingo. They find the core conspirators. Unarrh, Lomakh, Tishar. The whole plot laid bare.
Unarrh, a council member. The betrayal runs deep.
Definitive proof. Links the scroll stuff to this big political conspiracy.
And they get the proof onto a computer chip, presented to Goron.
Using tech to expose ancient treachery. Fascinating contrast. Goron gets the irrefutable evidence. Now he has to act.
Then the final confrontation with Molar,
Yeah.
it gets ugly.
Morath's betrayal and death is heartbreaking. Sacrifices himself for Kahless.
It's loyalty?
Drives Kahless into a rage. He finally defeats Molar, but wow, what a cost.
In the aftermath, Worf confronts the conspirators, Unarrh and the others.
Make sure they pay for the Academy attack for everything. Justice.
But there's still one last fight. Lomakh and Tishar.
Danger's not over yet.
Yeah.
Tishar makes a final desperate attack on Kahless with the bat'leth.
The traditional Klingon sword, right?
Mm.
Kahless is wounded. Picard's worried about the clone.
Yeah, shows the conspirators fight to the bitter end.
Then Kahless has this deep talk with someone named Olahg about leaving.
Seems he's accepted the scroll, its implications, makes peace with it, in a way.
And his farewell, pointing to the sky, his heart, his mind, as the place for Sto-vo-kor, the afterlife.
It's symbolic. Suggests Sto-vo-kor isn't just a physical place, but something more internal, spiritual, a big shift in understanding his own legacy.
And Garon's reaction to the chip.
He sees the conspiracy as real, acknowledges it, but then...
It destroys the data.
Yep. Prioritizes Defense Force secrecy, politics over transparency, ruthless, pragmatic Klingon politics in action.
So the deep dive wraps up with Picard and Worf reflecting.
That tension between faith and fact. The legacy of Kahless the Unforgettable.
And Worf seems to find some peace with the scroll. Connects more with Alexander.
Seems like it. A measure of acceptance. It's a reflective end after all that chaos. Worf finding a way forward, acknowledging both the legend and the history. A sense of hope, maybe?
So, summing up, key takeaways. This dive showed us Kahless, the legend, facing this huge challenge.
Right. The scroll wasn't just a historical artifact, it was a catalyst. Sparked doubt, ignited political fires, forced people to confront what they believed.
It really hammered home that even huge legends get re-examined, reinterpreted.
Yeah, we saw the complexities of leadership, the power of faith, how history and myth collide, and we connected dots, saw how different events fit together into this bigger, messier, more nuanced picture of Kahless and the Empire.
So, here's something to chew on as we wrap up. How often does new information challenge your beliefs? Things you've held for a long time.
Hmm. And how do we, as individuals or societies, deal with those conflicts when narratives clash?
Does finding out the potential truth behind a legend, if you can even call it that, change its power, lessen its influence?
Or are there parts of Kahless' story, maybe the ideals he represents, that endure no matter what the scroll says? What parts really stick?
Lots to think about. Definitely something to mull over long after this deep dive ends.